Hello everybody, welcome to Boxing Science. In this video, I'm going to be covering a very important subject: how to get these shoulders strong for boxing. We've got the top 10 exercises. We've done this before when we're looking at strength, stability and power. In this one, we've been looking at isolated exercises. Now, isolated exercises for the shoulders are really important for boxing because it's a very anterior dominant sport. We throw thousands of punches, we spend hundreds of hours in this boxing stance where we've got a stance and guard and being quite tight in our shoulders. With this anterior dominance, creates a lot of shoulder health issues for boxers. There's a lot of boxers that have ended up getting shoulder surgeries, but in our boxing science testing, we've actually looked at overhead squat assessment, looking at where their shoulders sit during overhead squat. This is a sign of shoulder tightness, and over 66% of amateur boxers displayed tight shoulders, and these are youth boxers. So if we're looking at older boxers, more wear and tear on the body, this percentage will be increased as well. So most boxers are quite tight around their shoulders. So it's really important to do isolated exercises to help balance out any weaknesses and strengthen the posterior shoulders to help improve shoulder health and function. Due to this shoulder tightness, quite limited in their overhead range. So in that overhead squat assessment, the boxers, when they come down, the arms will go forward. So when we're doing heavy pressing exercises, because they're struggling to get that overhead range, they're likely to compensate using the low back or not being able to lift as heavy, so being understimulated during overhead pressing activities. This is why we use a landmine as a key tool in our pressing exercises. However, we also use isolated exercises to help improve the strength and strength endurance of the deltoid and shoulder muscles. There's two types of exercises that we're going to be covering in this video today. We've got lateral and anterior, and we've got posterior. The lateral and anterior are looking for strength and performance gains. First of all, we've got the frontal raises, where we're raising the dumbbells out in front, holding, and then slowly coming back down. This is really working that anterior shoulder complex. Even though boxers are quite strong in here, it's very important to still maintain that strength and strength endurance around this part because of that tight stance and guard, using especially the lead hand, using it as a measuring tool, as we covered in our recent Boxing Science Reacts video, where we're looking at Deontay Wilder, how important that lead hand is to help measure up for that backhand. So frontal raises does have a transferred effect into successful boxing performance. We've got lateral raises. This is where we can put a little bit more load in, working laterally, working the lateral head, a little bit of the posterior head, but mostly it's lateral and anterior head of the deltoids. So we can start loading up on that, and we mostly use this part of the superset when we're looking to look for strength and hypertrophy gains for the shoulders. So we'll do an upper body press and we pair that up with lateral raises. You can do this from standing or seated position. We've got the shoulder burner, which is working full head of the deltoids and also the posterior shoulder muscles. We're doing it from seated position. We're coming up into lateral raise, bringing the dumbbells out in front and then reaching overhead and then working the trap muscles as well. And this is a fantastic exercise to improve strength and muscular hypertrophy under relatively lower load, especially if you're working with boxers that do have them shoulder issues and shoulder weaknesses. It's good to challenge the shoulders under lesser load, so you're not creating any kind of increased forces through the shoulder joint that might be detrimental to their shoulder health. Then we've got cable lateral raises, just in advance of the dumbbell lateral raise, where we're getting that a little bit more range as we're working across the body, so we're getting that more eccentric loading. We're also increasing the amount of load that we're able to lift on the cable, and we're able to just add a little bit of an isometric hold at the top and a slow eccentric on the way down to really work on the shoulder muscles. Then we work on posterior. This is more for shoulder health and function, where we're working around the smaller muscles in the posterior shoulder and the postural head of the deltoid. T-raises, this is the main one that we want to work on because this is working the full upper back muscles using the rhomboids, the lower traps, posterior deltoid muscle. The main thing on this is to make sure that you're keeping the core nice and tense. At the top, you're keeping your arms level with the shoulders to make sure you're keeping that scapula into a nice fixed position. You can also perform this on a bench in the prone reverse fly. So this is where we're going under a little less load, so we're probably going between 2.5 and 7.5 kilo dumbbells, keeping the core tense and we're isolating the shoulders. The TRX T raises are more like working the core as well, a full body exercise, whereas the prone reverse fly is really isolating that posterior shoulder. We've got TRX Y raises. The Y raises, the difference is that we're taking most of the posterior shoulder out and working more on the lower traps. Lower traps are very important for shoulder health, controlling that upward rotation of the shoulder, which a lot of boxers end up doing because they're tight in that guard. So keeping the shoulders down is really important, and the lower traps help contribute to that. So the Y raiser is really important on this one. Keep the core tense, potentially just taking your feet back a little bit so you're not under too much load. It's more of a movement exercise. You can also perform this with dumbbells standing, or you can do it in a prone position just like the reverse fly. And then we've got the banded face pulls, a fantastic exercise to work across the upper back, pulling the band in into an externally rotated position, something that boxers struggle with quite a lot. Keep the shoulders back and down, creating isometric tension at that end range, holding whilst keeping that core solid. This is fantastic for postural stability. And then a progression from this is the banded triple extension. Fantastic exercise that's working strength of the posterior shoulder muscles, that external rotational function, and then working on overhead function as well, getting them lower traps involved. So that is the ultimate exercise to really challenge the posterior shoulder strength for boxing. Hopefully that's a good video. Got any questions about the exercises used? Please leave them in the comment box below and give these a go. I'd be saying for the lateral and anterior, for the strength and performance, you'll be working between 8 and 12 repetitions and be working on these. You can work it throughout camp, but I'll be more working on these in general preparation if you're looking for any strength and hypertrophy goals. With posterior shoulder exercises, I'll be using this in every single workout. Try and pop this in, one of these exercises into each session. And you want to be performing 8 to 12 repetitions for 3 to 4 sets. So thank you very much for watching. Like I say, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comment box below. Hopefully see you on the next video of Boxing Science.